Hello, welcome to another edition of the property document series with Gumbo. This is the third video in this series of videos where we talk about property documents in Nigeria. So if you haven't seen the last two videos, pause, go see them and come back. It will help you understand this video better. Let's dive in. So today we are talking about excision. You have probably heard of the term excise land, excision in process when it comes to land in Nigeria. It's a very simple concept to understand, but it's also very easy to misunderstand. That's why it can become a leeway for making mistakes and I dare say deceit. So what is an excise land? An excise land is a land that has been released by the government to the citizens or the indigenes of an environment who were the original owners before the Land Use Act of 1978. So now the land is no longer under government acquisition and you can now process the CFO of the land. Let me break it down. Remember earlier we talked about the Land Use Act and how the Land Use Act changed everything. Before the Land Use Act, the indigenes of an area exercised complete and total control over the sales, lease and other activities on the land. Now the Land Use Act came and changed everything. The government owns all lands according to the act. However, the government still recognizes ancestral ownership of land. What the government does is it takes part of the land and releases the remaining ones to the indigenes of the area who can now exercise control over those released areas. Those released lands are what we call excised lands. So let's say there are 500 hectares of land and the government takes 100 hectares and releases 400 to the community. The 100 hectares that the government has taken is called land under government acquisition. I'm sure you've heard that term. Land under government acquisition, you cannot buy it, you cannot develop on it because it is a land under government acquisition. The remaining 400 hectares is what we call the excise land and it belongs to the community. Now that land that is excised, you can buy it, you can process CFO, it is open. So when you see a land that a developer says or a realtor says has excision in process or progress, what they mean is that they are in the process of applying for the land to be excised. But hold on, there are some things you need to know about an excision in process land. So the first thing you need to understand about an excision in process land is that excision in process is not a title. Yes, we are discussing it under land titles in Nigeria, but it really isn't a title. It has no legal backing. It has no real power in the sense of being a title. Excision in process is really just a name given to the process of application. Second thing you need to know about an excision in process land is that you cannot take possession of the land, so you can't build on it. No development can take place, and if somehow you do, it's at your own peril. Approval is not guaranteed. Yes, the land may have a file number and excision is really in process. However, it depends on the government to approve some, all, or none of the lands requested for. Yes, none. So approval is not guaranteed. Another thing you should know about the process of excision is that it takes time. Of course, things are getting better and usually mundane tasks are being automated and things are getting easier and faster. But the current status quo is that it takes time and it's a process that needs and requires a lot of expedition of resources. You're probably wondering, with all these things that Josephine listed, why do people still buy excision in process land? Number one, they are cheap. Excision in process lands are always very cheap compared with lands that have all their land titles and all the required documents. An excision in process land is cheap. Another reason is they don't know what you just learned from this video. So one question that we usually get from people who have bought excision in process land is what happens if after waiting and being patient long enough, excision is not approved, the lands are not excised? Well, it depends on the real estate company you're dealing with. That's why it's good to deal with a reputable real estate company. A reputable real estate company will put it in their indemnity clause. Most times they will say, okay, if excision is not approved, they will move you to another property that they have, or they do a refund, of course excluding a lot of charges. But At Gombo, we only deal with properties that have all the required land titles and documents. So we do not sell, neither do we deal with lands that are in process, excision are in process. Looking to invest in properties in Nigeria, Gombo is your real estate company of choice. Find us on our website or on our social media platforms. See you in our next video.